about that, ghetto kind of style. Man.
What's good, beautiful people? I want to welcome you to another episode of The Clay Space. And I have a very, very, very special guest. This young lady right here is a mystic. She's a spiritualist. She's a shaman. She engages in the spiritual practices and teachings. And she helps a lot of people figure out their life. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Sarge, the Sage.
Hi, guys. Right in time for spooky season.
Yes, you're right, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sarge, I want to thank you for coming on. I was just saying how full circle this is because I was on your platform.
Yeah.
You gave me that opportunity, and now you on mine.
I'm excited.
And I'm excited, bro. Like, this is great because, like, I wanna go get into your mind, bro. Like, you're a genius. You
Am
know what I'm
I?
saying? Yes, you are. You're one of the smartest people I know.
Thank you.
Just
I
let you know.
appreciate
That's
that.
why I had to have you on here because I wanted to tell your story, your spiritual journey story, and I feel like there's a lot of nuggets gonna come from this. So like,
Absolutely.
I'm really excited.
But I appreciate you recognizing my genius because a lot of times, it's with my Aquarius placements, I think I'm just a know-it-all sometimes. But I'm happy that you appreciate what I share. So,
Yes.
okay, that means something.
You see that, boy? You say astrologer. Say you astrologer without saying you an astrologer. You said she just casually, my Aquarius placements.
That is the official way to phrase it. They are placements. But okay, yes.
That's what's up, though, man. I can't wait to get into that astrology conversation amongst tarot and other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to pop off my episodes by saying that this is a safe space, not just for me, but for the listeners, and I want to extend that to you. So I want you to be comfortable. Speak freely.
Okay.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
will.
Curse as much as you want to, or not as much as you want to. It's up to you. Just be yourself, man. This is a safe space here.
Let's get it. I curse like a sailor as it is, so good thing, this is on YouTube.
Me too. So we're going to have to put like one of those stickers at the bottom of the parental advisory.
Facts.
Yeah. But no, so like, and I usually started off with something for the community board, like a conversation starter. Like, it's usually something that's going on in my life or something that's reoccurring. And one of the things that's been coming up a lot is just when your life fucking falling apart.
Relatable.
Yes, and it seems like God is just stripping everything away from you. And I've been in that space, and it was very hard to navigate that space. But the beautiful thing about it is that I got the perspective that God was just making space for new things to come that better served me. And I'm just wondering, have you ever been in that space? And if you haven't, could you attest to someone out there who's listening who is going through that space right now?
Yes, I have. And I shared a little bit with you about this as well. Like this year, I went through a lot. So it's just funny that you bring that up for my podcast episode because I have been stripped of a lot of my earthly pleasures and comforts this year. And it was honestly, to be honest with you, it was traumatic, and when you brought it up to me, I was nervous about sharing because I felt like, maybe I would start crying or something like that. But it is a great revealing of your soul. And basically, for me, in my experience, earlier this year, back in March, I was in 2 car accidents 3 days apart.
Wow.
And the first one, single car accident, very minor, hit a curb, but my car got totaled as a result of it. And it was traumatic. I was driving with one of my friends after a party, after a good night out, and it put a strain on our relationship. But I figured that I could move on and move forward from that. But when I got into that second car accident, and it happened in such a similar way to where it was technically still a single car accident, but this time a truck ran me off the road, and the rental car that I had at the time got totaled. I knew that it had a bigger message rather than, okay, you
You need to learn how to drive.
Yeah, I'm about to say you too close to the curb. It wasn't just
Right.
It wasn't that.
So what was the overall message that you got from that?
I knew that at the time I was on the wrong path. I was working at a company where deception and illusions were encouraged from their salespeople. And I learned this a while ago, like with my first corporate sales job where I was performing really well and I would do conjuring rituals in order to help support the results that I would get. At that time, my guides already told me that I could not use my gifts for deception or be unethical with my gifts.
Right.
Because in that role, I would be speaking to people on the phone and they'll be like, yeah, I'm signing up, everything. But the way that they sound was like they were zombies. Like my energy was just controlling them and leading them to do certain things. And when I noticed that, I knew that I couldn't be unethical with what I was doing.
Right.
And so when I got into this role, the last role that I was at, where I'm speaking about, and I was encouraged to lie, I was encouraged to perpetuate illusions in order to get people to sign up for, what they were selling.
What they were selling?
You really want to get into that?
You ain't got to get into that. I just think it's ironic. I think it's ironic.
What they was. Okay, so I worked for a personal injury marketing firm, and they were in partnerships with personal injury lawyers.
That's ironic as hell to me.
Yes. So with personal injury, technically, you make a claim on someone else's insurance if you're in a car accident and you're not at fault. So in that role, we were encouraged to coach people on how to lie. Oh God,
You ain't got to go too deep into it.
I can't.
But
Please.
it's just the point that you were saying, like you were coached to perpetuate a lie and illusion.
Yes,
and
yes,
you know
yes,
that
yes,
was
yes,
messing
yes,
up your
yes.
karma.
Yes, it messed up my karma really bad. And so the first accident was just a total car hitting a curb. It was so small. I was like, okay. Me and my friend kind of got into it afterwards, but after we was like, okay, whatever. Move on. Let's just kind of keep working. You know what I'm saying? Because we were working together at the time. And hey, we can get some money from it. Oh well.
Right.
Then 3 days later, in the rental car that I was in, to get ran off the road and total that car, I was like, oh no, I'm just on the wrong path. Like I have to stop. And the funny thing is that 2 months before that, I told my friend I was working with, I was like, I can't lie the way that y'all do. She was like, oh, you tell them too much about the contracts. You tell them too much information about this. And I was like, I can't lie the way that y'all do. But, we started to add in new members on the team, and it's a very competitive environment, and I wanted to keep my spot, and I wanted to continue to perform the way I was. So I acclimated to the lie. I went with the script, and I said things and omitted things to get people to sign up. And 2 months later, I reaped those rewards. Like what I put out is exactly what I got back. So
yes, that's like so ironic, and it's like so.
I know.
And I know that shit sucked being in it, but we need to give you a round of applause though. For you, like, for one, acknowledging that, because a lot of people will ignore the signs. And then they'll, have a victim mindset. Like, why is this happening? Why is that happening to me? Instead of thinking, what is the bigger picture here? What is the message that God is really trying to send to me? Like, what did I do that could have possibly contributed
to this type of results in my life? Because, to be honest, I'm the type of person where I get what I put in. What the work that I put in, whether it's good or bad, I receive that back. And for me to, first of all, like after that second accident, I was having nightmares about that accident. I was having for me to be so close to feeling like I could die over trying to make some money. I knew it wasn't worth it. After that second accident, I got in the car with my auntie and I was like, I have to quit this job. That was the first thing I said to her when she picked me up from the accident. I have to quit this job because there's no reason that I get into 2 accidents back to back. That does not happen to me. I used to pride myself on how well I could drive. I used to pride myself. I used to feel like I could fly a plane because I could drive so well.
Right.
So for this to happen, I knew that wasn't just a mistake or somebody driving crazy
Right.
or, oh yeah, time to get some insurance money. It wasn't that.
It was a message, man.
That I'm on the wrong path. And, you know, cars symbolize freedom. And then obviously the road, your path, your journey. Look, your personal freedom is taken away now. You don't even have a personal car for yourself. You had to rent a car.
Right.
And you're still on this path.
Come on.
Swipe me right out. So, I mean, it was one of those things to where it was very traumatic. I lost a lot. And then, funny enough, like before I was in that role, I was in a corporate sales role. And because I quit that job before a year was up, I think it was like 8-9 months. When I would apply to different jobs, my resume isn't as competitive. So now I actually work with my dad on his staffing agency. And I know that with certain contracts and for certain employers, they have rules against, you know, job hopping. Let's say you have 3 jobs in the last 24 months.
Right.
They won't hire you. And I was getting rejected a lot. And I was dealing with that. And then I actually put 2 and 2 together. And I was like, oh, I did the job hops. And now they're like, no, we're not accepting you. So now, obviously, I have to just go within and, you know, I can still use my gifts in terms of, you know, my conjure, my gift of gab, speaking to people, you know, being able to bring in sales with my charm or whatever it is.
Right.
But now I'm doing that for my father. And it's very symbolic. I mean,
Yes, it is.
I appreciate it. I love it. I mean, I like working with him because it's always a story. It's always something exciting happening. It is commission only. So...
But you're really good at that, though.
I am. You know, but I'm listed as a unpaid owner or whatever, so that's fine. But it's just like one of those things to where it's like, you know, sometimes God takes everything away from you so that you can hone in on the gifts that he gave you. Sometimes we add in like just everything from what we see externally from other people. Oh, I want to have this, I want to have that, because we see other people excelling. I only went to that job because my homegirl was making 6 figures and she was only there for a couple months.
Right.
And I was at a job to where I'm making, what, 75 a year? And it's like, I've been here for 2 years and I'm not even close to touching 6 figures. So that's why I switched over and I experienced that luxury for a few months, 8 months, 9 months, and then it came to completion. So, I mean, as someone who's going through the Saturn return as well, it was just one of those things to where it's like, I know what this is about.
Right.
I know what you're trying to show me. I know what you're trying to encourage me to do, so I'm willing to do it.
No, and I felt the same way when I had that exact situation happen. Not the exact situation.
Yeah, it was that bad. What happened with you?
So when I first moved to Atlanta, January 2024, you know, before I moved, I knew that there was going to be some transitional things happening in my life. Soon as I got the call from the lady who got me into film, that, hey, I got this film job up here in Atlanta. They going to let me hire an assistant. I want it to be you. It's going to be going for a couple of months. They got some other shows. You may or may not get hired, but, you know, it's an opportunity. The moment I got that call, December 2023, I knew that if I was to get that position, 1, I was going to be making more money than I ever made doing anything I've ever done so far. 2, I was going to be in a whole new city. And 3, I was going to be away from home for a long time again, for a couple months at least.
Wow.
So I knew this was going to be a transitional period. I didn't know what all that meant, but I knew there was going to be some changes going on in my life. And I promised God, I said, God, whatever transitions you put in my life, I'm going to accept them. Straight up. I said that. So then,
how did it go?
So when I moved up here, like things were going good until it wasn't. Like after the first month, it's like everything went to fucking shit. Like within a span of a week, I got demoted from my job.
Oh.
I ended a 2-year relationship. Wow. I got into a car accident. And I got scammed for $650 by them little boys on the street.
How did he scam you?
Hey, man, it was my fault.
What?
Man, he had a cool little hat, and they was trying to sell waters and stuff. I said, hey, bro, that hat hard. I said, how much you want for the hat? He said, 20, but I give you for 15. And I'm like, all right, bet. I said, I ain't got no cash. He said, oh, I got cash out. And I said, all right, cool. And I said, what's your cash out? And he was like, duh. And then I was like, what that is? He said, I put it in for you real quick.
Oh my God.
I didn't think nothing of it because, like, when I do business, I go to markets. I go to markets and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And you be like, oh, what's your cash app?
And they just type it in.
They just type it in, right? So he typed it in, da-da-da-da, and gave me my phone back. And I see he sent himself something. And I thought it was what I put, which was $15. This nigga sent $650 to himself.
Wow.
Yes.
Damn.
All of that shit happened within a span of a week. And I was like,
Shit.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was so hurt. But I remember my promise to God. And I said, God, I'm going to accept it.
Yeah.
And I accepted it. I stayed calm. I kept my faith. And it worked out. My bank took care of me.
Oh, they did.
Cash App took care of me. Bro, look here. It got one time I got to a point I got 2 650s. They got their money back. But
I would have been like, do I want to?
Yeah,
Let me keep it quiet.
Yeah, but my account looking good for me. But they took care of me. You know what I'm saying? I have car insurance. So I was able to get my car fixed.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, it wasn't crazy. I wasn't hurt from it. Got my car fixed. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like the new position that I end up getting. I essentially ended up making more money with less responsibilities.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And that new position carried on to all the shows that Fox, the company is Fox, that I work on Fox, that Fox did here in Atlanta. I worked on 4 shows back to back as a driver.
Yes.
I met so many celebrities, and I do that quotations because they my homies now. You feel me? I don't know. I might be a celebrity now. Shit. You feel me?
Okay.
But I got some really prominent people in my phone, and I'm like a person, so I don't never want to take pictures with them and be weird and shit like that. I have more pride knowing that this my homie, and I can call this nigga anytime I feel like it, or I could call sis and make sure she's straight. But you feel me? I got some people that we grew up watching in my phone type
That's
shit.
pretty fire.
You feel me? But that would have never happened if I stayed in the position I was in. If I stayed where I was in, I'd have did 1, maybe 2 jobs, and that
You would have
been looking for something else. But because I was a driver and I'm good with people like me that request me, I kept getting hired. You know, so that was a blessing. So everything ended up working out, and God made room. Is like, and I didn't mention this, but friends that I have, relationships that are important to me, I stopped talking to a lot of people. You know, and it wasn't because they bad people or they don't have my best interests at heart, but it's like for whatever reason in that season, I was separated from people. I was stripped from a lot, from everything. But then God replaced it with people who like are cool as fuck, who love me for me, who honor me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of people I need in my life. You know, and it's like when you on the trajectory and you make your mind up that you're gonna follow a path.
Yep.
And God is supporting you on that path.
Yes. And
sometimes, you know, things are going to get ripped from you. And new things are going to come in because those new things or people, opportunities are going to support you in the new space that you're heading into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the old people, I mean, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. Because I mean, with
Exactly.
my situation, obviously, like my friendship, that was a really, really close friendship. We were friends since middle school. So I know for a fact, like, this is somebody I love, I care about. I know she's a good person. I know that she has good intentions. I know all those things. It's just that when we had the conversation, just to add to what you're saying, when I had a conversation when I was leaving the job and I was telling her, you know, in a little break room area, I was like, I have to leave because we're lying too much and I can't do it. And she was just like, well, I lied on all my other sales jobs. I told her I never had to lie on any of my sales jobs.
Right.
I didn't have to.
Right.
I didn't have to. And so you have to realize that sometimes it's not that it's anything wrong or anything that they did wrong. It's just that it's misalignment. And I told her, because she has I'm sorry, I'm getting really astrology heavy right now. I was just about to say
said
something else.
Things I'm gonna bring back up.
I to say something
Go ahead
else.
and say, because I'm gonna bring it up. We're gonna do some explanations.
Okay, so she has a Mercury ruled chart. So her rising sign is ruled by the planet of Mercury. So Mercury is known as a trickster energy. I don't have no Mercury ruled planets in my natal chart.
Right.
None. Yes, I have it in my houses or whatever, but they're empty. I don't have a planet that is trickster in nature to
Right.
even say that I could flourish in a situation like that, to where I wouldn't get karma from a situation like that.
Right. Yeah. It just don't work for you.
It just doesn't work for me. What someone else can do, sometimes you just can't do.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have to separate, maybe for the time being or for however it is, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I agree. And even with my relationships too with my people, it's like they not bad people. They love me. I love them. If I
Yes.
call them, we gonna pick up where we left off
Yes.
from. It's the same, but it's just the consistency in their life isn't as consistent, and that's okay. It's because in this space, either I have to be alone or I'm going to be with some people who I'm
Or
gonna
truly
be consistent with them, and it's like they better serving me in this space, and it's not like a thing I'm even consciously thinking about. I'm just kind of just flowing with life as it come, you know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing that though.
Yeah, so maybe I didn't cry. I made it through. I was like, because
know,
I
I'm
cried
glad
in the
you
car
did.
when we was talking about it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know why you
got
gonna
to
bring
cry
this
out. You know,
Yeah, I
one of my
got to cry
goals.
out.
One of my goals is to have somebody cry on this podcast.
No.
Yes, I do.
Well,
I
had
wanna-
you asked me about the transformation on the couch,
See,
you would have
that's
got
what I
me.
get. That's what I get. That's what I get. Well, one day somebody going, I'm gonna hit them with that Oprah. It's okay. Look, I know how you feel. Yeah, but I want to get into your story though. Like for those who've been watching thus far, you can see that we have a chemistry. This is my dog right here. I've known her since high school. Like we've been friends since
It's
high school. Like,
yes.
so like it's been a long ass relationship, and like I've seen like your journey, like and it's been a beautiful one. And
It really has. I'm
Look.
kind of true to this, for real. I ain't
For
gonna hold
real.
you. People be trying to come at me. I'm like, bro, you don't know where I
Yeah.
came from. I've really been every type of
No
person,
facts.
high key. Like, you cannot
No
tell me shit about
facts.
nobody. Because the same thing with Jesus, where he was with the whores and the whatever. That is me, bro. Like, I have been every version. Well, not every, because I haven't been a killer and rapist. That's those sort of things. You know, shit does get dark in humanity. But I have experienced so much from humanity that as much as I have an authoritative way of speaking to people about what is okay and what's righteous or what is in alignment or what's, in, correspondence with universal law and things of that nature, at the end of the day, I'm non-judgmental because I have been there before.
Yeah.
I have been there before. I'm not just saying that this is you forever. I'm not saying that you are not redeemable. I'm just saying that I have been there and I know different ways.
See, and that's the beauty of your power. And especially with what you're doing right now, like using your spiritual gifts to help people, like even on a practical level, you could relate to people because you've been through different things.
Absolutely.
And I know some of the things you've been through. I know you. I know your family, all that type of shit.
Yes.
So it's like I know some of the things that you've been through. And it's really interesting to me that you found spirituality. And I remember the moment when I realized you were, because I had my spiritual awakening. I was going through it, and I made this song called Note the Higher Self. I was talking to, the higher self. And I remember you called me and was like, bro, I heard that song, bro. I be talking about this shit, da 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 da. And I don't know if that was like around the time you was going through your spiritual awakening or not.
yeah.
But I'm just wondering what led you into your spirituality, and how was your spiritual awakening process? Like, what was that like?
That is a good question. What led me to it? Honestly, I think I've always been an intellectual. Let me say that. Like, I have been the nerd who's getting bullied in like middle school to being semi-popular, whatever,
popular.
in high school. I feel like it was semi.
You was pretty
I was
popular.
class president popular, but not prom queen popular. So y'all know how that is. It's like you're middle class
It's like
popular.
there's a difference.
Yeah, there is. It's a that drastic.
Yeah,
difference.
she said middle class.
It's middle class. Like, okay, we know what you do, but you ain't the top of our legs. Like,
Yeah.
So okay, so I went through that, but the point is that I was always an intellectual. I was always like, oh, honor, gifted, whatever the fuck bullshit, right? So going to college, I was always just drawn to know. I think it is my Aquarius placements. I am on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces. I say this that way because the astrologers, some of them do not respect cusp, especially in astrology, but in Vedic, they do respect cusp. But anyway, so I'm on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces, and Aquarius is just known for being know-it-alls. Like, they are just obsessed with correcting people, being right, just that sort of energy, because they're otherworldly, they're the aliens.
Right.
They usually come from advanced societies. So, before they come to Earth. So, with my just love for knowledge, reading and things like that, I had a best friend. Her name is Jessica. We're just not cool anymore. But I think that she was already like spiritual, woke, all that stuff from high school. She went to high school out here in Atlanta. I went to high school in Savannah. Stark difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, so she, like, from high school, they was talking about chakras and all this other stuff. So she was already like super tapped in. But obviously, as a teenager, you're only tapped into an extent of your experiences. You can't really broaden them as much, especially because you don't really have that freedom to do.
Right.
So anyway, with her, to be completely honest, like, we were just kind of into knowing a lot. And we watched a documentary called The Hidden Hand. And it's not on Netflix no more, but it was on Netflix at the time. And it was a documentary about people who had extraterrestrial experiences. They were just sharing their experiences with being abducted or seeing them or whatever. It was like multiple people. They had support groups and everything. And that just opened up a world for me. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I think it was the confirmation that aliens are truly real and that they're not something within imagination, that just made me want to know everything. Right. And from there, we just started researching a bunch of shit. We went to Books A Million. It's not Barnes and Noble out in Statesboro. It's Books A Million in Statesboro. Yeah. And we brought tarot decks. We brought books. Like, I was buying like $200 books that like the textbooks in college. Yeah. Like, you would buy for class. I was going to occult stores, metaphysical stores, and buying those books for myself. Because my logic at the time was like, if I could buy a $200 book for class, I could buy this for me. Right. So it was just so like authentic and real, and it was just like, I wanted to know. I just wanted to know, and I'm happy that I did it. I'm happy for all the people. You trying to manifest this cry? No. Yeah, I feel my eyes tearing up. I feel my eyes tearing.
I really was going to ask you, was you reading all them books? Because I know sometimes people be collecting books that you
I was diving into. I wasn't like reading them cover to cover. Right. Because like it would be like a book of chakras, and it was like thousands of pages of information about it. Like, there's no point in reading it cover to cover. You use it as an encyclopedia for some of these books. But yes, I was taking notes, and we started a podcast. We did a whole 9 with it. Like, I remember that. Yes, it was a time, but I'm just so grateful that I did it, because when it was happening, I remember being in college telling my friends, like, I don't remember who I was. I don't even remember what I used to think about before. Like, I of course, I don't mean to remember who I was, like, I don't know myself. I meant as in, I can't even have the same thoughts that I had. It was crazy. I did not think about the world in the same way. I was a completely different person. I was completely metamorphosized. So, yeah. And I mean, I guess now, going through my Saturn return, I'm in my next phase of metamorphosis. So, I welcome it.
No, I feel you. So when you was getting all these books and the tarot decks and everything, and that's how you got your introduction to tarot and astrology and everything? So what made you like start really taking it serious? Because right now you have a business that is of, offering those spiritual practices and services to people. But like, how did you start to get really serious in that? Because there's so many different areas you can get into through spirituality.
Okay. Honestly, when I brought my tarot deck, I was doing readings off rip. Now, you're not supposed to do that. No, you're right. I wasn't charging, though. I wasn't charging. I was doing this shit for free. But I was off rip doing it in my dorm room, in my kitchen, giving people readings who wanted it, smoking a black.
Not the black. You was smoking the black, bruh. Not the black.
Ratchet as hell. Ratchet. Now I know tobacco does clear out negative energy, so I was on point. I didn't know that, but I was on point. Baby, I just love the idea of it. To be honest, like from jump, I was just ready to go. Ready to go. And I maybe I should credit that to my mother and my mom's friends when we were growing up. My mom, Her name is Sarah. She has a twin named Olivia. And they have like these really close friends that we grew up with. My mom and her twin sister had babies 5 months apart. So they were around the same age. Everybody was super young when they had their kids. And they grew up like, I grew up with like Quana, Crystal. They were like my aunts, but they were just my mom's friends. But they were young. You have to think about it. They're like 19, 20, 21, 22. And they're raising us. And when we're around them, like we're just absorbing everything that they say. They're talking to each other about dreams, astrology, all this other stuff. My mom would read me my horoscope. And as a kid, I knew that me and my dad, we're both Pisces. And my mom was a Leo. And my mom didn't like that because she was like, you act just like your dad. And everything like that. So it was just like these little things. And so I guess when I started to take it on for myself, I was just like, this is me. I want to know more. I want to dive into it fully. So it was just something I did like immediately. I will say this for people who are getting into divination, tarot, astrology, things like that. It is advised for you guys to take your time and actually master the craft and learn it, at least learn the basics and stuff like that before you start to share your gifts with others, meaning like you're going to give people readings, you're going to do XYZ, because it helps to be sure that you're being ethical. You know, so that you're not telling people misinformation.
Right.
If you're willing to be like, I'm just learning and I don't know everything, then maybe it can help. But I know that for some people, you know, with the spiritual journey, they have an ego real bad in the beginning. Yeah, so it's like you may think, oh no, this is what the cards say. I know, but you don't know everything yet. You know?
Yeah, I know. And I had some of those early readings. I did. I had some of those early readings.
Let me get a review.
And you was on point.
I was.
See, that's how I knew. I knew you were spiritually gifted. Like for me, it's nothing. It wasn't that big. I was raised Christian. My mom's Christian. I'm Christian. Yeah. My grandma, she's a mystic, but she's Christian too. My grandma has a tarot deck that she passed down to my mom. My mom still has it. Yes, my grandma is a psychic. She was spiritually gifted.
Wow, I never met your grandma.
I didn't either. Oh, she died before I was born.
Okay, because we've known each other for a while. That's why I was like, I never met her. Okay.
Yeah, she died before I was born.
Okay.
But she was spiritually gifted. Like she was psychic, and she said God came to her, and she knew she was psychic for a minute, but she didn't want to use her gifts at all.
Why?
And God, man, I understand. This shit's scary. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It's a lot of responsibility. It's not easy. You cannot just have the gift and use it haphazardly, because after a while, if you don't have God involved in what you do, you're probably making contracts with what people deem as the devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because you have to think about the polarity of energy. It's either divinity or, deviance. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things to where you're tapping into this higher level of power, and if it's not rooted in God, then what it is going to be rooted in?
No, facts, you feel me? But God was like, if you don't use your gifts, you're going to die earlier than you going to die.
Really? How?
Yeah. So she was like, all right, cool, fight. So she started doing it, and she was helping people, and she was like able to like accurately read like my mom, people. She told my mom, you're gonna raise 3 kids, and one of them not gonna be yours. Oh. And my mom was like, I ain't raising nobody kid. And then she ended up raising my niece Calencia.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like she was on point with a lot of stuff, and she even said that like the gift is like going to be passed down to like somebody in our lineage who is pure of heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's you.
Unfortunately. And fortunately. And I know that because my grandma came to me in a dream and told me why it works that way. Because the message comes from the heart. Like God speaks to us through our hearts. And if your heart ain't pure, the message will be tainted. But I say all that to say that I have experience with that in my childhood and my upbringing. So with you saying that you doing tarot and all this stuff, I was like, yo, do me a reading. I grew up knowing my grandma cards was in my mama's drawer. Like, you know what I'm saying? I used to play with them when I was little. I did not know that. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, give me a reading, and then you be on point. And I was like, bro, but you spiritually gifted.
You know what's so funny with my readings? Like, and this has happened multiple times. Like, especially if I get like a new deck and I don't know really what the cards are interpreted as, I will give a more accurate reading by not knowing what the fuck the cards mean. But now that I'm more mastered and things like that, obviously I'm able to kind of like incorporate it and know when to like trust, like, okay, this is like a stream of concept. This is what you're picking up from. And then this is what you're seeing in the cards and things of that nature. But it was so crazy because I have felt like I'm not doing a good job in the very beginning of me doing tarot.
That's crazy.
Like I felt it. I was like, oh, this is not it. This is not hitting. This is not that. But ultimately, it is a skill. It's a skill set. It's not something to where, let's say, I mean, you can be a medium and you can see ghosts, but to be skilled in the art of that practice, you have to you have to actually have the experience with it. You have to have some at bats. You can't just do it all out the gate. Now, I appreciate having talent, you know what I'm saying? But it was one of those things to where I'm just shocked that you felt like, it was so on point. But I do know that when it comes to the gift, that is one of those things, because technically with being psychic, being a medium, using your clear senses, meaning like clairvoyance, clairaudience, whatever it is that you have, at a point, you're supposed to remove the conduit. You're supposed to remove the cards. You're supposed to remove the scrying mirror, or, the tea leaves or the pendulum, whatever it is. It's supposed to just be between you and creator. So... it was just one of those things.
Yeah, it is.
It's full circle.
And I knew. But I'm wondering, when did you know that you were spiritually gifted? Like, when did it hit you? And then also, it's like almost a double question, because like, that's a thing. Like, it's a lot of people in the world who coming into their spiritual gifts and they don't know what the fuck it is. They don't know how to navigate this space. So I think this conversation is important because it gives a lot of context for people who may be going through the same thing right now. So also at the same time, I want to know, when did you realize it? How did you navigate that space? And if you could give a word of advice for people going through that now.
So when did I know that I was spiritually gifted? And how did I navigate that? And what's my advice to people? Okay. This was loaded. That's my audience, okay? So when did I know? I was in college and already doing the podcasting, already doing readings, already, doing my own botanica business, which is basically like a metaphysical store or whatever, online though. I was basically like deep in the trenches with that. And I was dating somebody at the time who was also very spiritual. He was into music at the time. And he's a rapper or whatever, but we were just having like some really big, like deeply activating moments within the relationship, anger or past shit from childhood, whatever, in college. It's just kind of normal shit that comes up. Right. But we're spiritual, so it adds another layer to the dynamic, right? And during that time, to be honest, what triggered it, I can't even tell you. I really can't. The best I can say was weed. That's it. And I've still smoked weed to this day. And I was smoking weed before that. And sometimes it happens now when I smoke weed. But to be completely honest, it was really just an activation of my gifts to its full extent. And if I'm being real with you, we were kind of going through a bad time in the relationship. We were thinking about breaking up. We were off and on pretty much at that time, trying to work on things, trying to get back together. And I was with him, I was with him in Statesboro one day, and we were just having a rough time. Like maybe a month or two before that, I had a dream that he was in like this dark cloak standing over me and doing symbols over my body, right? And it was weird. That is. And it was after we had watched this like Vice documentary where it was just like some real demonic shit on there. It was looking at the people of Liberia. It's really hard to think about because I literally yelled for him. I literally closed my eyes and tried to plug my ears and told him to turn it off because it was really fucked up. Like, it was people in Liberia. It was a child. He was a child. He was like 13, 12 years old at most. And he was living with the freaking like warlords type of people, basically trying to make things work for himself. and he was on crack. He smoked crack. He was talking to them. He sounded demonic. He sounded like he sounded like he was possessed. And he was saying how he raped a pregnant woman. Trigger warning. And as soon as he said that, I was like, cut it off. Like, I was just like, turn this off. Like, I just felt like this ringing when he said that. I felt ringing. Like, what the fuck? That's how it felt. I don't know how else to say that. That's literally how it felt. It just felt like it was ringing throughout the room. Like, that's what I heard. That's what my body felt. And that night, that's when I had that dream about my ex-boyfriend at the time, you know, putting symbols over me or whatever. And it was really complicated. And so I couldn't understand what was going on. I didn't know anything about it. I don't have elders at the time. You have to think about it. I'm doing a spiritual awakening alone by myself in college. I have my friends who are my peers. They're not elders. They have not mastered these things. They know about it, but they don't know everything. On top of that, when I speak to my family about it, they're super Christian. So they're not even really supporting me with learning about the occult, with learning about metaphysics. They're really kind of telling me, oh, it's demonic. You need to stop. But anyway, so we have that moment. I'm telling him about the dream. I'm telling him about all these different things. And he's listening. He's understanding me. But he's not experiencing it for himself. So he really doesn't know how to navigate it. He just thinks that maybe, okay, you might be a little crazy right now, right? So I have a moment to where I don't know what triggered it. It could have been an argument. It could have been anything. I was smoking weed at the time. But I had my first manic episode. If you are familiar with like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, manic episodes means that a lot of times a real marker for me is that you can't sleep. At the time, I didn't sleep for like 3 days, however many days on end. And I actually drove back and forth to Statesboro during that time too. Because he was out in Statesboro and I was in Savannah. And I was like an hour away. I drove to him like a couple times. But one time I drove up there to him. We was smoking, we was talking. And that's when it hit me because he was listening to this podcast. And this dude on a podcast was just sounding real dark, real incel-like. Even though incel wasn't a word back then. It's a word now. But he was just sounding real weird, real mean towards women, real all type of things. And I was like, cut that off. Something's wrong with that. Something wrong with him. And when we was talking, we was in the kitchen after a while. I was like, I think that's what it is. I think there's too many dark entities around you. You're consuming too much dark energy. That's what the issue is. And he was like, okay, whatever. He really didn't listen. He really wasn't entertaining it. And when I was driving home to Savannah that night, he was telling me how he had walked the Parkers and he was walking back and he had seen a being in the woods. And he hadn't seen a being in a while. Like when he was a child, he's a fire sign. Fire signs are known for being seers. They can see. That means that they can see ghosts, spirits, all of these different things, auras, because they're fire. They can see that. And he was saying he hadn't seen it in a while since he was a child, and he saw it now. And it was this tall man that looked intimidating, like it was going to, like a demonic figure. And he said he hadn't saw it in a while. He was like, you're right. There is something going on because I hadn't seen this in a while. And he shared things with me about his childhood and things of that nature. And I knew, yes, you do have dark entities around you and you haven't cut it out because you didn't know. You didn't know, especially as kids, when watching these cartoons, we around other kids that don't know better, that's going through trauma at the house. We take on this shit and we don't know until we get into our consciousness and we're older. And so when he said that, he was like, you're right. And I was like, okay, I am right. I'm not, I'm not just tripping.
I ain't tripping.
That wasn't the end though. I was still going through a shamanic journey at the time. I call it shamanic journeys now, even though I didn't know what it was then. I was still manic, you know what I'm saying? I was still manic at the time. So I still wasn't sleeping. And I was telling him, I'm like, I'm having these thoughts. I cannot sleep. Something's wrong. So he sent me this like binaural beats, from YouTube to sleep to. I was listening to those binaural beats. I started having visions of people I was following on Twitter being pregnant, giving birth, all type of shit. Months later, that person did come out as being pregnant. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. It was a bunch of shit that was going on. But I was like, okay, whatever. At the time, just like, it was just a bunch of thoughts. But my family started to know, because I was living with my family at the time. It was like, something's wrong with you. You're not sleeping. You're not taking a shower. That was another thing. Sorry, y'all. TMI. But I'm not Snake right now. Don't look at me like that.
I ain't look at you no kind of way.
But I wasn't taking a shower. There was a lot of stuff that happened during that time. It was like, something's wrong with you. Like, something is wrong. Like, this is out of your character. What is wrong?
Right.
And I didn't want to tell him exactly what was going on. But I was telling him, like, in bits and pieces. And it was like, okay. And my auntie was like pulling my mom to the side, like, something ain't right. And so what was the straw that broke the camel's back? I brought my whole family into the living room. I was talking to my grandma at the time. My grandma convinced me to do it.
Yeah.
And you know how my grandma is. Of course, she would have said, okay, yeah, tell everybody this.
Yeah.
I brought my whole family into the living room. Started to tell all the family secrets. Who was gay? Who had childhood sexual trauma and abuse? All of the shit that we went through as a family. And I was speaking to them. I was like, this is what we need to do as a family because this is what we went through and all of these things. And at the end of that conversation, my auntie was like, do you want to go to the mental health hospital?
Oh, wow.
Well, she didn't say it like that. She was just more so like, I think that you should. Do you want to go?
But why? Like,
because I was bringing up stuff. It was out of nowhere, Clay. It was out of nowhere. And I had not been sleeping. I had not been bathing. I had not been eating. And they noticed that, like, you know how I ate before we came. You know how I am.
Yeah.
This is out of my character.
food. Yeah.
This is out of my character for me to be acting like this. And my aunt is in the mental health industry. She has a master's degree in psychology. She knows what the signs are. And she's just like, this is not normal. Even though you are saying things that happen and that we as a family can benefit from, what is happening with you is not normal. And so I got admitted for a 48-hour hold. And that's when I knew. Because prior to that, besides me telling my family about all of the things that they need to do as a family, I was telling them also that people were watching me. Because I saw this white woman. I was being gang stalked at the time. Not everybody gets gang stalked.
What's gang stalked?
I'm sorry for saying. I'm about to explain it to you. Gang stalked is when you see people suddenly, like, not say following you, but seeming to be unnecessarily drawn to you. So at the time I was working at Best Buy and I had coworkers around. My ex at the time, he was researching Satanism. And that was a thing that he was just researching. And he was close to getting into the music industry, so it was a very sensitive time for him to be researching Satanism.
Right.
Sorry, Clay, I know we getting real.
Yeah, we are.
I know we getting super real right now. So in Best Buy, now mind you, my ex at the time lived in Statesboro. I'm working at Best Buy, and people at Best Buy, like 2 people came up to me, my coworkers. Oh, what do you know about Satanism? Oh, I've been looking into it. It's so weird. I'm like, where the fuck y'all come from? Well, I've never said anything to them about this. So why would y'all come up to me and saying that? And then one time I was driving from Statesboro and I was on the south side of Savannah and some white man, he was driving next to me. He was in the passenger seat. He had something written on his hand. I didn't read what it say, but he was waving at me like real, like weird. It was something written on his hand. And I was like, that's odd. And then when I was going through my manic episode, there was this white woman, a white older woman with like blondish gray hair. And she was taking pictures of my house. She was taking pictures of my car. I saw this lady do this. Is not a hallucination. I saw this with my own eyes. And this spooked the fuck out of me. Like, what the fuck was this about? And that's what gang stalk is. I don't want to get into that because I'm not on no Jaguar white shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Really, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a fuck. These niggas know what time it is. I don't care. So for me, it's just one of those things to where it's just like, I was doing a podcast at the time. So I am in some way putting my voice out there, telling them people about these information and stuff like that. So maybe that was the reason, but I don't really know. I really think it was just being so close to somebody who was so close to getting into Satanism at the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, to be honest, it was just like when we see like in the Matrix where people can be hijacked by what's the dude's name? Not the dude who is
Agent Smith.
Agent Smith, yes, who can be hijacked by Agent Smith. It's more so like that, to where like some people they're just
energy.
It's an energy thing. It's like they're very normal. Nothing's wrong with them. Everything is cool, but an energy can take over their frequency and they can just get really weird. They can get really weird and they can start to feed information into entities that are more powerful than them that can hijack them, if that makes sense. And one time when I was in fucking, what is it called, Whole Foods, it was super weird. This is after I got out of the mental health hospital. I was in Whole Foods getting one of those little plates of food, and it was so odd. Like, everybody was staring at me. I was like, why? I don't understand. I didn't have nothing crazy on. Nothing. It was just a really weird feeling. And I'm in Savannah, so you see black people at Whole Foods. This is not nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, like I said, and let me do the warning, because that could also get into how to help people.
Yeah.
But with those moments, that's when I knew that I wasn't imagining this shit. I knew I knew for a fact what I felt was what it was. And obviously, you know, you have to use your discernment. You have to decipher through the illusions, the deceptions, all these different things to get to the truth of it. Because sometimes the truth is not as elaborate as all this other shit that people put out, which is why I say I'm not on that Jaguar Wright shit. I don't give a fuck about all of that hypothetical coincidence. Look, let's get to the facts and actually focus on that, because I'm also a scientist and a researcher at the end of the fucking day. If the data doesn't add up, then I'm not going to continue to perpetuate that idea into my reality, because a lot of times that's the inkling of paranoia is enough to get a lot of people to fall to their demise. We see it every day. So for me, like, for moving forward with that, the advice was, during the process when I was having my shamanic journey and everything like that, what was the thing that I repeated to myself? I want to say it directly. That's why, because I know what it means in summary, but I want to say it directly. It was basically something like, your perception is your reality. The universe is mental. The mind is all. The universe is mental. The mind is all. That's what I was saying. The universe is mental. The mind is all. That's what I was saying. That's one of the universal laws, which is basically telling myself that whatever I think is reality is what it is. And I kept repeating that. And I did not let go of that. I did not let go of that. Because I knew that as long as I can control my mind, as long as I can stay grounded into who I truly am, that nothing was going to have power over me. I just knew that. Now, if you do something to me in the physical, okay, then you do something in the physical, and then I definitely have proof that there's some other shit going on. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to allow my own mind to desert me and have me put myself into a position where I'm suicidal, or I'm putting myself at risk, you know what I'm saying, to being harmed by other people. So I will say that to anybody who is learning about the spiritual journey, because actually that's going to help you too, especially for those, when you first get into your spiritual journey, you're riddled with fucking ego that needs to die. That's all it is. You're riddled with that shit. You're riddled with all these false senses of your own identity that have not actually been valid for who you are spiritually. And as long as you continue to tell yourself the universe is mental, the mind is all, you'll start to realize that you are creating your own fucking reality, even if that is to where you're shunning your family, your friends, because they're not as woke as you, they're not as conscious as you, they don't agree with the fuck you're saying and everything like that. Because I went through that too. Guess what? That's your perception of the reality. You're not seeing it for what it is. You're not seeing it for, this person has been Christian their whole life, and they don't know what the fuck you talking about. And you're not relating to them. Because there is realms and aspects of spirituality that directly translate to Christianity that you could be speaking to them about, but you're not speaking that same language. You're speaking Spanish and they speak English now. That's the reality, not anything else. So it's helpful to remind yourself, like, the universe is all the mind, the mind is all, the universe is mental, because it allows you to have some autonomy and sovereignty in how you're co-creating, because that's a lot of the aspect when you come into spirituality, that you feel like you're God, you feel like you're everything, this and that, but that feeling of it's only me in my mind is not the reality that you truly want. You know what I'm saying? When you notice like all this feedback about whatever's going on in your subconscious mind, and you feel like you're having all of these things kind of react to it without you even speaking a word of it, it's not as endearing as you think. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of isolating. It feels alone. It feels like, is this shit even real? And that can take you to the crazy house until you just stay grounded into your individuality and you realize, like, okay, look, what I'm perceiving as a reality is what it is gonna be. So that would be my advice. I'm sorry, that was long-winded and I told you a whole lot with that.
No. It makes a lot of sense, because, like, look, I've been through those phases as well. Like when I first went through my spiritual awakening, I was getting all this new alternative information and knowledge. I went out into the world, wanted to tell everybody, and then
Right.
people were like, not, everyone wasn't receptive to it. Some people
Yes.
were, but most people was like, bro, you tripping? What the fuck you talking about? And that shit hurt me. It made me like understand that everyone has a different perspective, and my perspective isn't greater or better because it's different. And I just realized that everyone just has a different perspective, whatever makes sense for them in their journey and whatever point they're in their journey, But that was a lesson I had to learn. Humility,
Oh, thank you. Because I was hubris as fuck in college. I was so hubris. And hubris just means that you think that you're greater than God. You think you're greater than the all-being creator. That's what that means. That means that you think that you are the one source God. That's what that means. Hubris is so many spiritual leaders' downfall. That's literally what it is. It's hubris. You're not humble. You do not understand that you're just as important as the speck of dirt as you are as a clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
You are all things. That is what God is humble. If God can be humble, why can't you be humble? What are you outside of that?
Right.
If God can be humble, but you can't be humble, what does that mean? Because if we truly believe in God, if you truly believe that we do have a source and a creator, you don't think God is quite humble in terms of like the state of conditions of earth and saying, you know what, they're not my best. Everything is not the best, but you know what? They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's a quite humbling experience. You have a whole earth that can create and replicate whatever the fuck, everlasting life on this bitch damn near. Obviously, things do die, but it all goes back into the earth. It has such a beautiful life cycle. And then these motherfuckers charging people rent. They charging people for water. They destroying the fucking forest. That's a humbling experience. If you as a human in this flesh cannot understand that, then you'll go through your Saturn return.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that.
And that happens around like what, age 28, what is it? 20
Right.
until 30 or whatever. And then until like 31, 32, just depending on how old you are. Depending on what your Saturn placement is. And then it happens again in your 50s. But you'll go through your Saturn return and you realize, oh shit, I don't have it figured out. I don't have it all figured out. I really do have to take it step by step. So.
Right. I can't wait to get in that. That's going to be the question after next. But my next question is, now if you got into the space where you've discovered your spiritual gift, you went through your shamanic journey, right? And you are becoming familiar with this gift. At what point does the idea spark you to make a business out of this? And I say business because there's a delicate balance. And this is also a loaded question because I want to know that delicate balance between having a business where you're offering spiritual services to help people. What sparked you getting into this business, and how do you navigate that balance?
That part. Well, that's a good question. Because I don't offer shamanic services because I do have Native American ancestry. Sorry, I'm sorry. I look at the camera because I do not have time for the diaspora wars and this and that because I am also African, but please, I do have actual Native American ancestry, Cherokee and Blackfoot. And as a shaman, I do feel like I have to be initiated. That's my personal feeling because with it as a shaman, you really can, especially like if I were to do it using plant medicine like ayahuasca, and maybe sometimes even shrooms. If I were to assist someone and be their trip sitter and their shaman during a journey like that, I would really want to know what to do because people can truly commit suicide and ruin their own physical lives based on what they see in the spiritual. And I do not want to take on that responsibility without knowing what to do.
Yeah.
So I don't offer shamanic services yet. I do readings. I do divination, meaning that, I'll forecast the future for you. I'll answer certain questions from using cards or whatever I'm picking up on. When did I decide to do that?
Yeah, like what sparked that?
What sparked it? I mean, I was already doing readings way before I even knew what the fuck I was doing. It was just...
You're just like, you know what?
I'm just doing, yes. Like, I'm just going to keep going, yes.
And exchange going here, get a little cash for it.
I I mean, to be honest, it was just like, I've been doing it so long, definitely gonna charge now. Like, that was it. Like, it was just, my journey is very authentic, and I know it's not perfect in terms of, you know, if I were to give somebody advice. And people say this all the time. I just saw a tweet that was like, oh, I don't like to go to panels because they be saying shit like, be humble. Tell me how you made $1 million. Bitch, that's how. You didn't fucking know, bitch. Being fucking humble, being willing to be the assistant, being willing to be the driver, being willing to not know what the fuck you're talking about, and being that student. That's how I got to the $1 million, because it's not going to be a cookie cutter experience for most people. Unless you come from nepotism or from something to where, let's say you went to a super good school and there's like steps and networks or whatever that you know that you can tap into. A lot of this shit is going to be authentically your journey and was truly meant for you. There is no get rich quick scheme. I was just working for a company that was telling niggas they could get a come up real quick, and look at that.
Right. It didn't work for you.
And it didn't even work for, we ain't gonna get into that. We ain't gonna get into that, but them payouts don't be what they're supposed to be. Like I was telling people they were supposed to be, and I realized that after my accident, I said, oh, damn, I was lying all the way through. I thought that part was the truth, but it wasn't. So what I'm saying is that, like, when did it happen? It was just authentic. It was just
gradually happened naturally.
Truthfully, you have to follow your heart the same way that your grandmother said. Like, if you do not follow your heart, what are you following? If you're too much in the head, you're going to be probably egotistical, like an Elon Musk, or it's plenty of celebrities that's like super cerebral about their whole spiritual shit, and they end up Satanists or Luciferians. Like, bro, it's not just in your, that's not it. The heart is the conduit to the soul. Like, you can be on your soul's journey every step of the way if you follow your heart. If you follow your heart. So that's what I did. And when I was ready to charge, hell, I was charging in college.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was like $20.
Okay.
$10, $5, all type of shit.
Yeah, and you mentioned like having the oh my God, I know the word. What's the word?
Botanica?
No, not a botanica. You mentioned having ethics.
Yes.
And how you're ethical. You have to be ethical with your spiritual gifts. Like, when did you learn about the ethics of it? Because I imagine you might have had to bump your head or something.
No, with that, I mean, kind of like I described it. It was with my first sales job. I was working for this marketing company, and I was doing the sales portion, and I was signing people up. I was signing people up to get a subscription with that platform so that they can handle their marketing. And when I'm signing people up, like I said, I was doing conjure work at the time. So I would do like different, just candle work, whatever that was going to be.
That was the moment.
And when I heard them people on the phone sounding like zombies talking to me, I knew that was my work working, but that wasn't their conscious mind.
Right.
And then the funny thing is that they would be calling me. They wouldn't even call the customer support, which is who the fuck they had. They would call me and say, oh, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with that. And so I knew I could not oversell. Right. I knew that I could not overpromise and underdeliver. So I was speaking to the person, and I would have people. I had this lady call me. Her name was Ingrid. My late grandmother's name is Ingrid. It was so symbolic. It was just like, just those type of synchronicities where I'm like, oh no, my ancestors, my guides, what I'm doing with this conjure, the Most High is bringing these people before me. I cannot squalor that. I can't you can't mistreat this energy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I knew.
That's when you knew, like, I have to be ethical. Like, I have to be on point. Like,
I mean, I can't lie. I mean, that was my thing. I can't lie.
Right.
And I'm already a terrible liar.
Yeah, I feel that.
Am I?
Yeah.
You know that already? That's what you say. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, you want to tell the truth so bad.
Shut up. I do. I really do. It's terrible. It's like I be wanting to be like,
Right. Man, right. But those are all the things that make you really great at doing your job, and doing your work. And I do want to get into your work because you brought up a lot of concepts and phrasings that I know people who are just getting introduced to these things might not quite understand. Like, you were talking about your Saturn return. You were talking about placements. You were talking about, like, even the shamanic journey. Like, what is, can you break this down for the newcomers?
Okay. Get your Googles out, y'all. No, seriously, because it's not just my interpretation. It's not just my interpretation. So, In terms of being a shaman, I didn't learn about this until I was released from my 48-hour hold. I'm officially crazy, bro. That shit is kind of fucking crazy. That shit trips me out. I really don't like to share that. I really don't. I've shared it on my podcast or whatever, but it's really one of those things, especially dating. I'm just like...
It's like, how you gonna take this?
Yeah, I really call bitches crazy. It's almost it's documented with me. So okay, have to accept, love yourself as you are, as it is, right? So when it comes to wait, what's the question? Let me make sure.
You was talking about the what is it being shamanic?
Shamanic. Okay, yes. So when I googled it, I basically that's what happened. After I was released from the 48-hour hold, that's when they told me what they think it was. They was like, oh, we think it was a schizophrenic episode, basically. Mm-hmm. So I Googled the spiritual meaning behind a schizophrenic episode. This is my pro tip. And Google it's kind of shitty right now because they got that AI thing. I forget what it's called. Gemini or whatever that they have now. And essentially, with that, it gives you like the AI answers and they filters like the biggest, most popular websites and publications to the top, rather than usually it was like regular blog shit. You know what I'm saying? That would pop up when you would be like, oh, spiritual meaning behind XYZ. It wasn't all of these major mainstream platforms that was popping up, but hey, shit happens. We gotta let it be what it is. So you may have to really dig, but I Googled spiritual meaning of schizophrenic episode. That's all I had to fucking Google.
Right.
And I found it. And it was about shamans themselves just sharing them. They had articles. It was a little bit of forums, but it was mostly just like articles where they was offering services and stuff. And they was just telling them about their experience and what you might be experiencing. With them, they were explaining the fact that I want to get it all right. I did like a whole episode about this, so it's a lot of technicalities, but I'll just say it in layman's terms for this, because I don't remember it all. But it was like a West African tribe. It was one doctor. He was sharing his experience. He was telling how in that village, when someone has a mental break and they're going through some sort of mental episode, that person 9 times out of 10 is going to be a shaman within that village, because they're receiving messages from the unseen realms. And so what they do is they bring the community around that person. They make sure they are calm, cleansed, at peace, and then they ask them about the messages that they're receiving, and then they'll go ahead and use those messages. And then usually there's an elder or something in the community that teaches them how to decipher the messages from, bad entities, good entities. What is this for? What is it not for?
Wow.
And the Native Americans have that. West African tribes have that. I'm pretty sure East African too. I don't know, but that's the ones I researched, West African and Native American. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, that's what a schizophrenic episode is. It's actually a shamanic journey. And a shamanic journey is where you are basically having one foot in a different realm and 1 foot in your current realm. And it is very true. Like, it's just how it feels. It's just weird. It's a weird fucking feeling, because it'll be like some shit I'm thinking about, and then somebody else like speaks to what I'm thinking about, nothing I said. And it's very odd, and I could not understand that for so long, but not that many people have that gift, so they can't really explain it for you. You just have to kind of get that experience. But it was super helpful for me, because it allowed me to realize, like, oh, that's what's happening. This person isn't an op. This person isn't my enemy. This person isn't a fucking Agent Smith or whatever the fuck. They are delivering messages from a different realm. That's what that is. Now, sometimes people, let's not say it doesn't exist. Sometimes people are so into certain mentalities. Like, you see it with police officers. You see it with people who are like policy pushers or whatever. Like, they want to stick to the rules, stick to the policy. Those type of people, yes, you can say, okay, you're an Agent Smith, because you are indoctrinated to the full extent to where you believe that these man-made systems is the way that the world is supposed to work, when that's really not true. We all agreed upon these systems. You can relax. Those type of people, you can say, okay, this is my op, this is a Agent Smith or whatever. Okay, you got it. But when it comes to just like your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, and I know I'm speaking to somebody, I don't know if you're going to listen to this episode, but when you see this, you'll know you cannot continue to say that these people are opposition, Agent Smiths. That is you eating yourself alive. That makes sense. Like, there are egregores. Egregore means that there's it's an entity that's created from thought forms, meaning like a bunch of people agreed on a thought form, so it's an egregore. So like the English language can be an egregore because a bunch of people agreed that hi means a greeting and it means hola or whatever, right? So English language could be an egregore. Apple should I say Apple?
Go ahead.
I know we using Apple. Apple as a company can be an egregore because people believe all these things about Apple. Oh, it's better than Android. Oh, I don't like to see the green button. I don't like to see the green notifications. All these things. It creates a culture and it creates a ball of energy that can live outside of the individuals who are speaking about it now, if that makes sense. It's so popular that it can live outside of the individuals who are aware of it, meaning that if this whole civilization 100 years goes, Apple can continue to live on if it continues to grasp up that energy, right? So anyway, there are entities that live off of the pain. They live off of that paranoia. They live off of you isolating yourself from your family, your friends, your lovers, the people who give a fuck about you. They live off of that. Now, I'm not saying that some of y'all are not in situations to where, yeah, you could be around some ops. I watched Charm. You know, when they got activated, they had the ops right next door. I got you. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying that you really need to have discernment, and you cannot continue to blanket and put everybody in the same boat because you'll miss out on your blessing. You won't be able to fully capitalize on the people who's in your life who give a fuck about you and who are trying. They may get hijacked, but if they, some people, you can tell them, you going through some shit. Something's wrong with you right now. You acting dark. You acting weird. You co-signing some shit that is not of you. It sounds like colonization. Whatever the words you want to use to kind of trigger them to realize, I don't really believe this. I don't really think like this. I don't really care about that. That can snap them out of it. I'm not saying you have to save people or anything like that. I'm just saying that when we allow that paranoia and that fear to persist in our lives, it feeds on you. It feeds on you. Shamans speak about there being a pain body over earth, meaning that this pain, it's like an egregore that feeds on pain and fear. So you can feed that, or you can feed your higher self. You have, not saying you have a choice, but it's not that many options.
Yeah, it's like one or the other. What you gonna do?
Yeah, basically. Because, I mean, you know, the root, you know how they say the root energies are, in terms of feelings, are love and fear. Like, there's only two polarities of feelings and shit. So.
Right. No, I feel it. And that was well said. But now, what's the Saturn return for those out there who don't know? And you mentioned you was going through yours.
Doing my Saturn return. So, in your natal chart, I'm going to say, do they know the natal chart? Okay, we don't know, right? Because this is not a channel for that. So let me just kind of tell you from a high level. In astrology, you have your sun sign, right?
And we all know that. Like, I'm an Aries.
Exactly, and I'm Pisces, right? So you already have your sun sign and everything like that. Then you go, as you look deeper into astrology, you can find out your natal chart, and you'll find that you have a moon sign, a Mercury, Virgo, a Venus, all of these different things in your chart, right? And then you get your Saturn. Okay, cool. Now, with these planets, as we know, within astronomy context, these planets have a rotation, right? So I'm trying to think of the full rotation and how long it takes. But each planet takes a certain amount of time to go around the sun. It can be months, days, years. Saturn return, when you are the age of 27, 28, up until about 33, you're going through your Saturn return. Meaning that the Saturn of your chart, my Saturn is in Pisces, right? My Venus is in Aries, my Mercury is in Aquarius, all these things, right? When Saturn returns back to Pisces, which is what it is now in 2024, I'm having my Saturn return, meaning that from the day that I was born, now Saturn is back into that position. So now I'm having my Saturn return. And with the Saturn return, you are encouraged to mature. You're encouraged to, I don't want to say do things independent, but you're encouraged to take ownership and accountability And this is your first official initiation into adulthood. It's official. So going through a Saturn return, you deal with being humble. That's like the number one thing, because with Saturn, you're supposed to wait. You're supposed to have faith. You're supposed to be tested. You're supposed to prove yourself that you are worthy. Not improve yourself as in overextend, but prove yourself as in, this is truly what's in my heart. This is truly what my intentions are. If you, let's say like the girl who says, I'm going to make you wait to have sex. She not really making you prove that you are good in bed or nothing like that. She just want to see if you're consistent of showing up before she's ready to do it and reward you. That's what Saturn is doing. So that's what I'm experiencing.
That's a great way to put it.
Yes, it's not like, oh, okay, I need to see that you're good in bed before I have sex with you. No, I just need to be sure that you're going to continue to be here after I have sex with you, after you get these rewards, because Saturn rewards for the long term. It's nothing short. It's about long term results, and I would say it's against instant gratification. It really is.
Man, sure. I don't know when I went through mine or if I'm going through, but I feel like I'm about past due, boy, for my reward.
What's your Saturn name?
I forgot.
And I did your astrology. I should see. I gotta have his name to start pulled up.
See?
Why you don't have it?
I do have it.
You just
I don't remember that. I remember like a lot of them. I know I'm an Aries sun, Gemini moon. Made a song about that duality. Gemini moon.
He made a song. That's why he remember.
You was one of the first people to hear that song too.
Yes.
I sent it to you as soon as I got done recording it. Yeah. I'm a goddamn. My Mercury is in Cancer.
I felt like it was something creative.
It's
I'm about
in
to say
Cancer.
Pisces because it's so creative.
Yeah. My Venus is in Aries.
Oh, it is okay. Relatable.
Yeah, I want to say my Saturn might be in Capricorn, but I don't know. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Okay, it could be an Aquarius
But it's something.
because you're old. You're a little bit older than me.
See, but I don't.
But it could be in
know.
Pisces,
I
too.
need to know when it is because I'm like, I've been putting a lot of energy towards this dream of mine. You know, I do believe though when it do pay off, like niggas gonna be like, how you get all that? I'm like, bro, I've been working my whole life for this, dog.
Seriously. That's what they say though. That's
know.
what we all are working our whole life for, that big moment. You know what I'm saying? And then we basically go through a rebirth and start a whole new life and trying to figure out what the fuck the next big moment is, or what
Yeah,
else we want to
that's
go
very true.
do after.
That's very true. But I don't know. But then again, my life hasn't been a lot of big moments. It's just been like a gradual step. And then I look back and be like, damn, I came a long way.
Oh, well, yes. But that is a big moment. See, but that is a big moment though, Clay.
Yeah.
That is it. That's exactly what it is, because a lot of people say that. They be like Money Long. She just did an interview. If y'all familiar with Money Long, she sings Twin. That was a new one. What's the other one that everybody should know? You don't know who Money Long is, Clay? Because you really kind of disappointed me.
I know. You was looking for me for help.
Yes!
Like, what's the song she sang? You thought I was going to hop right in and
top
say the
one.
name.
Yes, I'm
And
about to
then
Google it because
you
I really
know
need to
what?
get it right. Hold on.
Yeah, Money Long. Yeah, boy, listen up.
Made for Me.
I'm out the
Made
loop.
for Me. Everybody knows the Made for Me song. Well, no, I think that is a fucking twin song.
Except
Hold on.
me. I don't know. I'm out the loop, Sarge. I don't know what be going on, man. I be in my little bubble.
Oh, Hours and Hours. That was the one that she first
that's
went
who sang that?
Yes.
That song hard. I know that.
Yes, thank you. I'm about to say it was a top song that was
Yeah.
viral. So, okay, Made for Me is the twin song, but Hours and Hours is the first song that she was popular for.
Right.
But she's been a songwriter for forever before she became an independent artist. And she was talking about it, and she was like, people be thinking like, oh, I just came out of nowhere. Like, I've been here. I've been doing this. People say the same thing about Lizzo. I was really disappointed when people said, oh, Lizzo is an industry plant. How?
Right.
This bitch was sung backup for fucking Prince. What are we talking about?
Damn.
She did
How old is
everything.
she?
Thank you.
I
She
didn't know she
did
was-
the fucking work, and she's here now.
Right.
That's what that is.
Right.
That's what that is. It doesn't happen. We're so used to the social media of people we see, okay, for a couple months, and then now they're on Billboard, they're this, they're that. Okay, yes, that happens for some people, but for the vast majority of people, it is work. It is years of work.
Lots of work. I've dedicated my life since I was 15 years old. I dedicated my life to my dream.
Yes.
So it's like I made a lot of sacrifices for it. So when I come up out of nowhere, they think, oh, Clay,
Just
bro, look, bro.
nope.
You know how much winning it is, dog.
Thank you.
Right. Let me get back on track, though, because I want to ask you one more astrology term, because this one to get thrown around a lot. And people will be joking about it and saying it. Don't even be knowing what it means.
Mercury retrograde.
Mercury retrograde. You're like, oh, Mercury must be retrograde.
And so, first of all, y'all really need to Google that. That's kind of easy. But no, I just mean for the people who just be like asking you, like, what does that mean? What does that mean all the time? I've had people asking. I'm like, girl, by now, this is adopted by popular culture.
Right.
So Mercury retrograde just means, so retrograde in general, because any planet can go retrograde, it just means that planet slows down. So you know how it is when you're driving a car and you're driving faster than them and it looks like they're going behind you?
Yeah.
It just means that they're slowing down. That's it, right? It just means that you're going faster than that planet is. So you have to give that energy more time to catch up. You have to spend a little bit more time kind of nurturing that energy in order for it to be favorable for you. That's just the reality, right? So Mercury retrograde, Mercury rules technology, communication, your mental realm, commerce,
Right.
like exchange, like marketplaces, things like that. What else does Mercury rule? Just overall type of communication, that's that whole realm, right? So when it's retrograde, a lot of times there's miscommunication. There's delays. They recommend you not move during that time because it has a lot to do with logistics, contracts, which is a form of communication, that sort of thing. And it can maybe potentially mean that you're doing something or getting into something unfavorable. They also recommend that you don't get married during a Mercury retrograde because let's say that there's a miscommunication. There is not a full clarity about what's supposed to happen. That means that, you know, your marriage, like your actual wedding day can be chaotic, hectic, dealing with a bunch of fucking things going wrong rather than the usual shit that you expect to go wrong. Like, okay, somebody show up late, somebody, you know, the regular shit. Now you got motherfuckers canceling on you and things like that. So, that's basically what a Mercury retrograde is. Yeah, I'm a little bit tipsy, y'all. Sorry.
No, you good. It's like drink champs now. Now we get all of her secrets.
Did anybody else drink some wine on here? I don't really think I see
some of this right here. This guy.
Oh, the tequila. No. Yeah, I would like a little, but you know, I'm trying to keep it light. I would have to spike. I would have to spike my rosé with tequila. Can I do a shot? No.
No, you good though.
I did hear that it was good though. It's tasty.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say.
You haven't tasted it?
I don't drink.
He don't, but
yeah, I don't drink. I don't drink. I would feel like I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't bring up tarot, because when I talked to you before the interview, was saying that you feel like your specialty is more so in the tarot.
Yeah.
And I be reading a lot of what you be doing, like in your business, Inspired Line.
Yes.
Yes, I be following the page. I look at the stories, and like what you be saying be on point.
Thank you.
You know, especially when you be talking about that tarot too. So I definitely want to get into like the basic fundamentals. I don't want to say fundamentals of tarot because it's not like we're not trying to just teach people how to do it. But it's just like, I guess like, you know, you finding that comfort space and working in tarot more so.
That's such a good question. I love this. So divination has a lot of different forms. Like you can use, like the preacher uses bibliomancy, which means that they use a book to derive messages from. With tarot, it uses cartomancy. So it uses cards to derive messages from. With tarot, it has origins where like this mulatto, she's not mulatto, but she was like this light-skinned black woman in the UK who created it in conjunction with a couple of other like European people. And they came up with tarot and the symbolism and everything like that. So I'm trying to remember how many cards in the deck. I think it's like 53. I could be completely wrong. So correct me in the comments. But with tarot, they have like, you know, their full deck. They have the major arcanas, which indicate like what's destined and messages from things outside of you. Then they have the minor arcanas, which speak to like your free will and things like that. And so with tarot, it's basically a form of getting messages about what's happening within the spiritual realm and your physical realm through cards. So that's what tarot is.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I mean, I do cardology now too, which uses playing cards. It's still cardomancy technically, but it has like a different level of interpretations as well. That was actually organized by the Order of Magi, which was like centuries old, like before tarot and shit like that.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things you can do with card divination, but that's what it is.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you now is, what do you have to say to people who look at like astrology and tarot and different divinations as the devil's work or evil?
Read the Bible. Read the Bible. The reason why I say that is because the Bible mentions Christians. It mentions crystals. It mentions divination in fucking general, where they're going out to the burning bush. What is that? I don't know if this pyromancy, if there's a fire divination, but I'm almost certain it is. And that's what that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're getting messages from something outside of you, you are doing divination. Even if you are just getting messages from within, that's not demonic. You trust your priest, you trust your preacher, you trust the prophets, the prophetess, and the prophet in church. My bad, I didn't think of the male version, but you trust the prophets and the prophetess in church to tell you a message. That's the same thing. It's not demonic. Some people, yes, are tapping into Luciferian, satanic, dark entities, but everybody is not. And it is a misnomer, and it is ignorant. Literally just ignorant. You're just not doing your research, and you're not looking into it to assume that everybody's doing the same thing. The Bible mentions astrology, crystals, divination. What doesn't it mention? You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at the Quran, at the end of the day, we have to accept the fact that we don't know everything, and there's so much more to be discovered. And the more discovery we do, we may learn things that's a little bit more alternative. We may learn things that's not directly taught or focused on within the church. Yes, I understand, because I went to church. I know how I go, and I love the people in the church. I have people in the church right now, and I know that they're telling me that what I'm doing is demonic and it's bad and it's this and it's that, because of so many people who have used it for bad. And I'm not saying that does not exist. I'm just saying to use a discernment, because if you paint everyone with a broad stroke and you cloak everybody in the same garment, you're not going to see the truth. You know what I'm saying? You're going to miss out on what you can benefit from. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if you trust your preacher to do bibliomancy and derive a message because he turned to a page or he saw a vision and he did all this, you should be able to understand that other people outside of the church can have that same experience. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah, I just went to church today, and the pastor was talking about how God will communicate to you through different mediums.
Thank you.
Like, and he was talking about, even he said, for me, Moses, it was a burning bush. You mentioned it. It could be from people. And he looked at me and said, or podcast.
That's what I was about to say. He know you?
Man, I just met him. I want to have him on too. That's
kind of cool.
Too. That is really cool. But like, yeah, to your point, like, yeah. And it does run that deep, and it is mentioned about. I remember a while ago I had did a project in school about astrology. It was supposed to be like a project trying to convince people, and I remember going into it, and I started seeing how it was in the Bible in different parts, and even how like some scholars more, like metaphorically even say something, the 12 different tribes represented the 12
yes. I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah,
let's just chill. We're not even going to get into that interpretation, because that's, if you do the symbolism of the Bible,
yeah, so
astrology like a motherfucker.
Yeah, so I was getting into, and even like how the wise men found Jesus
through the star,
right? Yeah. But it's different things, and I was like, wow, this is really dope. Like it's in the Bible too.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. It's just ignorance. It's literally just ignorance, and it's not okay. Like I really wish I would stop.
A lot of fear. Like people be afraid of the unknown, and
that's what it is. You are afraid of what you don't know, and you're taught to be afraid of what you don't know, because there are people. I mean, you got to think about it. Like Because when I was in church, in terms of going with my family and like really being into it, like we had movie nights at church where they was teaching us, and they was going like we watched documentaries where they was telling us about different demonic things and what to avoid and what to like we was watching documentaries about this shit. So I know that y'all are getting these teachings from somewhere, and I know that it's with good intention, right? But there's a certain level of discernment that a lot of people don't have, that they just like blanket. They just, okay, it seems close to it, so I'm just going to say it's that. That's not the case. I understand if you would be like, okay, let's say some of these music videos or some of the symbolism in videos or whatever, to say that's demonic. I'm not against you on that, because some of that shit is actually indeed demonic. They are praising entities that have a dual effect, so it could be good or it could be bad, and you don't know what they're doing it for. So you are correct. I'm saying that when it comes to just someone and you, for me personally, I think I'm getting emotional about it, because I would have loved to be embraced by people, by elders. That's just what it was. I really didn't have anybody in my field of what I was doing to embrace me, and that was really tough. And I loved the part of church that I really appreciated was the fact that my grandmother could say that she had a dream, and everybody believed what was to come to pass in her dreams, and we trusted that. I appreciated that fact. I loved that fact. I felt like that was something that let me know that there was something that I could tap into within myself outside of just, being a follower. I'm not a follower. I'm a life path one. Yeah. I'm not someone who is drawn to just following what someone tells me. So there's a lot of people like that's out there, right? And so with the church and people who are so into the church, and they just constantly just say, oh, it's demonic. You don't know what you're talking about. This is that. And now I have to subject myself to motherfuckers who know a little bit more, but they could be demonic now, right? Because I don't have anybody in the church to show me the way, because they only know one way. And it's okay. It's okay to be a master in your way, but to not accept any other way is ignorance. It's ignorance. We do not all speak English. So how can you tell me that Christianity is the only way? We're not all Christians. We're not all Muslim. We're not all Jewish. You know what I'm saying? So it does not make sense for you to say there's only one way, especially when I'm coming to you with things that predates what you're doing. This was before you. So how can you say it's bad? It doesn't make sense. How did you get here if this was bad? They would not have can be able to continue humanity, right? Because they're not going to heaven. God is not going to bless them, right? So how does it happen? And it becomes that push and pull. So I don't even know if I'm answering the question, but
you are answering the question with a lot of passion.
Yeah, it's just one of those things to where it's just like, I wish I did have an elder who was a prophet, a prophetess, who would be able to tell me, this is the way, this is how you discern your messages, this is what you can follow.
Though? I think the big part of you not having one is because when you become an elder, you're gonna
be that person.
You're gonna be that person, right? Yeah, because I feel that way about a lot of things in life. Like, I didn't have that type of support, so now I'm like, I'm going to make sure I be that support for someone.
Yes, facts. That's how I think about it. I mean, I think that we have to think about that we are technically revolutionizing a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, with our generation, we're the ones who came up with internet. We're the ones who came up with some of these different things, social media, these things that did not exist with the generations before us. So technically, we will be the pioneers of how to navigate these areas. And maybe we did need to figure it out on our own, because if we went to our forefathers, we may be too indoctrinated.
Yeah, they would have held us back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. But it's a beautiful balance, because we do need elders too.
Yes, we want y'all.
I did have elders that come in my life. It changed my life.
Yes.
My spiritual moms, I call her, shout out to Miss Keisha if you're listening. She told me it was okay that I was sensitive and I should be in tune with my emotions, because that's my superpower.
Yes.
I was never told that. Before then, it was like, you shouldn't feel, you a nigga, don't show no love, love will get you killed. You show love, people take advantage of you. So now I'm being even more guarded. But she said, no. That's your superpower. Embrace that. And then for me being able to do that, like, I tapped into my empathic abilities. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to navigate the world and communicate with people a lot better and relate to people a lot better.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
made
it
me feel
changed
very,
me.
very comfortable. I mean, we are very close in general. Not close like we talk all the time, but like we're just close in terms of like kindred spirits. Like we kind of get each other when we interact and things like that. So I appreciate that about you. And there's not that many people that I could come to. You know how I am. Like if I have like some really big idea,
Yeah.
if I wanted to share it with somebody, you're like one of the people on the list. Obviously, top of the list. So it's like
Vice versa.
it's a gift. It's a gift that you have.
Oh wow, she was right.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was
That's
right.
correct.
She was right. She hit the hammer right on the nail. She did, man. But shout out you, Miss Keisha. Shout out to the elders.
Yeah, so we love y'all. I mean, a lot of my elders, I mean, even now, my family has warmed up to me. Like my grandma and my aunt, who's a prayer warrior,
That's
everything like
beautiful to
that.
hear.
They have warmed up to me and they encourage me to do what I'm doing. They be like, go to your celestial plane. That's what they call it, your celestial plane. But you know, they respect what I do and they appreciate my perspective on things because they see that I'm probably the only one of the cousins, meaning like the younger generation outside, you know what I'm saying? I'm the one, from, maybe from their kids or whatever, who has a real love for it. Like I want to be more spiritual. I want to be closer to God. I want to be more into my divinity. That's just what I want for my life. And they encourage it now, even though it's alternative. It's not the way they would prefer, but now they encourage it when I have my dreams or when I have my things or whatever that I have to say or I'm feeling. They trust it, and that's endearing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That
really
makes me
is.
feel like, okay, progress is gonna be made. They may make their comments, which I don't care about. I make their comments about them, like, okay, I'm with the Christian. You come with the Christianity. You come with the Abrahamic religion, whatever. But it doesn't mean that we can't speak to each other. That doesn't mean that we can't relate. That doesn't mean that we can't understand the same universal concept that we're all witnessing. So
No, that's absolute facts, man. So I just want to appreciate you for coming on.
oh, that's it.
Yeah, man, we talked a lot.
That was
and
good.
I really could be on here with you for 3. This could really be drinking channels. Like, it's
Oh
so
no,
much
for
more.
real. I'm about to say I
So
can finish this
much
wine
more.
bottle for facts, bro.
Bro, it's so much more I would want to talk to you about, but we will have to do a part 2, like for real, because I want to get into the whole new. We ain't even touch numerology. We ain't even talk about the soul tribe, which we're in each other's
Yes,
soul tribe.
we are.
We did not talk
Soul
about
tribe like a
a
motherfucker.
lot of that.
I can't get rid of him.
Right.
But no, like he is somebody who is like, if it's not that many it's like he has a rarity about him that you're like, oh, this is a special person. Like I would want to be able to, I would want to be able to reach out to this person and ask their perspective and get their insight because they're special. They see things from a unique and just like, it's like a divine perspective. Like I feel like I can have a connection to source through this person.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that, and obviously you can get that through your past. You can get that through so many different things. It's just when you have people in your life that you know that God works through, you have to trust it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to say it's so much exoteric language in this because I'm also esoteric, but you just know this within. He has that within. You know what I'm saying? You're not what is it called? A charlatan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not putting on a mask for anybody. You're very authentic and, like your grandmother said, pure of heart.
Yeah.
So that's what was passed down.
Yep, that's why it was passed down. Now I have to deal with this.
I mean, it's a blessing. It's a I don't want to say a blessing and a curse. It is a blessing.
It is a blessing. It's a blessing. And I run from it. I've grown to embrace it.
Yes.
Make my last comment because we got to wrap it up at some point. But I had went to a psychic one time and she was real cool. I'm talking about she was psychic. Like she helped the police find missing children.
Oh,
psychic.
wow.
Yes, and she gave me a reading. She told me about different paths I could take. And she was like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you have the same gift I have. Like,
you're a medium, but
this
you
what
do
she said.
see. You have seen auras.
I have.
Yeah.
She told
mediums. That's
Look.
like top tier. I have a best friend who's a medium right now. I like when I have questions. I'm like, girl, can you please look at this, please?
No facts.
I
right?
need you. She's a Sagittarius
See,
moon.
look at it. See, but she was like,
Gemini sun.
she said, you could do what I do, but even better. She
Yes.
said, you can be better than me because your gift is that great.
What's your rising?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Oh. Scorpio. He could be a medium. I'm serious. Scorpios is the king of the fucking underworld. Do you not know? They run the underworld. King or queen, whatever you is, Scorpio. You run the underworld. That's your job. You run the underworld. All of those spirits, those entities, those ghosts, all of those realms that's like right next to us, that's your domain. Y'all run that shit. So for you to be a Scorpio rising,
yeah,
come on. Pluto rules your chart.
And I be.
Come on now.
I'm learning to
Pluto and Mars, and you have an Aries sun. Like,
I
come on,
embrace
that's
it
crazy.
more and more each day. You know, I embrace it more and more each day. But I'm thankful.
Yes,
And I'm thankful for you, Sarge.
absolutely.
Yes, and we definitely got to do a part 2. We gotta
You
do a
think
part
so? Okay, we'll do
Yeah,
one.
at some point we got to do a part 2.
And I'll be cute. Hopefully, I look cute throughout this episode, y'all.
Oh my God, here she goes. You such a Pisces sign, see? And beautiful
I ain't gonna
people,
hate.
thank you for tuning into this episode of Clay Space. And until next time, peace.